It's the Good Slate Late Show with your host, Graham Jones.
Hi, I'm your host, Graham Jones. We are here at Good Slate Pictures today for the Good Slate Late Show. That is not going to be the official title. I just made that up right now. Probably not going to stick. We're here to talk about The Bondsman today on Amazon Prime.
Oh, thank God, a cop.
Harry, don't.
Help! Police!
He's stone cold dead in the market. He's stone cold dead in the market. He's stone cold dead in the market. I killed nobody
Oh,
but
Jesus.
my husband.
Last night
Run!
I went out when I gave her the beating. I lie cold dead in the market. Stone cold dead in the market. I lie cold dead in the market.
With me, I have my special guest, Bobby D. Cerise. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
Yeah, we got Bobby Cerise here.
I like the digs.
Yeah, thank you. So tell us a little bit, one, how you got the role. Two, where can we find The Bondsman?
Bondsman is out on Amazon Prime. I believe the whole season just dropped. It's an interesting story. I was actually out in Arkansas, and I was doing a job out there, and James Hutchison, who was one of the second unit directors and stunt coordinator for the show,
Mhm.
he sent me a thing to read for. And at the time, I had a specific look. I had a split in my mustache. I looked very Pedro Pascal at the time. And so they sent me this thing to read for, and I'm in the Airbnb, and I set it up real quick and whatever else. And I don't know how I ended up getting it, but what I did find out was that I was at the bottom of the totem pole. They had like 5 or 6 people read for it. And at the very, like, afterward, Hutch comes up and he goes, yeah, when they were going through the pictures and all the things, they're like, it's not going to be him.
Not
And they
this
just
guy.
threw me off to the side.
Not this guy.
And then they're like, maybe him, maybe him, maybe him. And so I did this read, and I pretended that I had a mouthful of sandwich, because it says he's eating a sandwich and he's talking with his mouth full. So I was like, you really gotta do it, and I just did it like that. I got it, right?
Yeah.
And so I eventually came back from Arkansas, and it was cool because, coming from the world of stunts, this was more acting than it was stunts the whole episode.
Right.
And how it's cut up, it might not be a ton of screen time, but I know that when I got back and got to do it, they sent me a schedule, and I was like, oh man, this is like 2-3 weeks of acting.
Yeah.
And 1 week of stunts.
Right.
And I was like, amazing. So
Not necessarily what you're used to, though, right? Is that because your forte is stunts, coming from the stunt world. What exactly was this like?
well, so I had to go back in time a little bit. Since I was 8 years old,
Yeah.
I was like, I want to be in movies.
Yeah,
Right. I want
right.
to be a stuntman. My dad's got video of me jumping over like boxes and mattresses, being like, I'm a stuntman. So, but even at that age, at 8, I in Chicago tried out for the Mickey Mouse Club,
Right.
singing, dancing,
Yeah,
acting,
yeah.
whatever. So I did want to be an actor. So this was a great opportunity.
Of course.
So it is a little different than what I'm used to, but as a stunt person, and this is a recommendation for any stunt people out there, learn to act, because you'll get more opportunities that way.
Right.
We all fall down good, or
Yeah.
we should be able to fall down good.
Yeah.
But if you can deliver a line or two, or even a monologue or something like that,
Make
then
yourself more
then they
valuable.
don't have to double the actor. They just get you to be the actor, and then you do your own stunts.
Right.
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 It's like a Disney version ride
Right. Right.
of Jackie Chan.
Yeah.
The feature ain't about you,
Exactly.
but you get to do your own stunts. And
Yeah,
you get
but
to deliver your own lines.
Yeah, you're in
Yeah.
it. That's what matters. No, so I recently heard a funny story about you eating a sandwich on set in reverse.
So yes, in the scene, I'm like a disheveled cop,
Yeah.
like a crooked cop, and so they brought me in, and they're like, cool, get you all messed up and looking this. And then they shot the scene in reverse. So I don't go to the food truck, get the sandwich, and then go to my cop car. When we shot it in reverse.
Yeah.
So they hand me a sandwich and in a little thing, and I get in, and I close the door, And one big bite, two big bites, three big bites. Well, I couldn't spit it out because it's on camera. There's no spit
Right, yeah.
bucket.
You're just
So 3 big bites ended up being half a sandwich,
oh,
which it was delicious. 22 takes later, I've now eaten 10 to 12 full pulled pork sandwiches.
oh God.
Right? And, just sloppy as I can. Nom, nom, nom. And so now when, I'm full, we break for lunch. They're like, what do you want for lunch? I'm like,
You're like,
a cookie.
yeah.
I was like, I need
Some
something
water.
sweet. Yeah, some water.
Give me
and a
some
cookie.
water.
Well, and there's, I'll get to a funny moment after all of this, but I did that, right? And then we come back from lunch, and now I got to go to the food truck and get the sandwich.
Yeah.
And they come over and they hand me the sandwich, and I didn't mean to, but I looked at the sandwich and I was just like, like this, and the whole crew starts laughing, and they're like, "All right, settle, guys, you got to do this." So now I'm like, and they're like, "Action!" As soon as I take a bite, everybody breaks out in laughter, and I'm just like, so now I'm laughing, right? Ruined the take.
Yeah, got to do it again, yeah.
Right? So they hand me another sandwich, and everybody's cackling, right, under their breath, and I'm looking at the sandwich, and now I can't. I'm like, I think I'm gonna break. I'm like, okay, here we go. So I did figure out a cheat though, which was I bit the sandwich.
Yeah.
And then while I was chewing, I was just pulling meat out because they were like, be sloppy and gross. And I'm like, yeah, I would do this.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. And I started eating the sandwich like that. They yell cut. I'm like, spit.
Yeah.
It's the first time I got
Yeah.
to spit. But what I saw was that from the wide shot like this, my gut was out to here. And I was like, oh, man, I definitely fit the role now. 10 pulled pork sandwiches.
Yeah. Once you're 10 sandwiches deep, man.
And I hadn't eaten pulled pork 3 or 4 days ago. I had my first pulled pork sandwich.
Oh,
From about a year ago when we did it and shot it. I was like, I had to stay away from pulled pork.
Jesus. Yeah, no, that's absolutely insane. Yeah, I couldn't imagine eating 10 sandwiches back to back. I don't know how you did it over and over again.
I mean,
and then maintaining the character on top of that.
Yeah.
Like that's
look, I love what I do.
Yeah.
And I also love pulled pork sandwiches.
Right.
But I did hit my breaking point.
Oh yeah,
I was like, oh,
that's what
more pork.
That's what people don't understand sometimes in this industry. Like things sound easy and they look fun, and then on the day you're doing them, and you're like, I can definitely eat a bite or two of sandwich for 10 takes.
Yeah.
And 10 takes in, you're like, okay, maybe this was a little more than I intended.
Well, funny enough is like I found out that if you eat a lot of high fatty meats,
yeah,
and sugar,
yeah,
that it's a recipe for blockage.
Ah,
so
you're backed up.
So I had a cookie for lunch, and I had 10 pulled pork sandwiches, and for the next 4 days, I was like, why can't I drop a deuce?
Need to put some X-Lax in that cookie.
I did. I ended up having to do that.
yeah. It's gonna give me. What do you want for lunch? A cookie with some X-Lax.
But it was a lot of fun, and there's a lot of really talented people.
Yeah.
That are really good friends.
Right.
And got opportunities similar because Hutch went to bat for everybody.
Yeah.
So as I mentioned, James Hutchison, he in some scenes in some episodes he was second unit directing,
mm-hmm.
but he was also the coordinator, and so the rigging team was awesome because in the rest of the scene I had to run on the wall.
Right.
All the rigging team was really good friends of mine, but also having Hutch kind of pushed production into like you should get stunt people that can act.
Right.
And so a lot of people got a lot of opportunities, and kind of we owe him a nod for that. It was a great opportunity.
Yeah, we love him for that, which we will talk more about Hutch later because he will be our next guest, as well as a few.
Excellent. I'm glad you guys are having him on.
As well as a few other people from the stunt acting team, I should say.
Well, we're actors doing stunts.
Yeah. In this especially, because like you said, it's mostly acting. And a lot of the job is when you're doing stunts, it's mostly stunts, but a little bit of acting. And then you get those roles every now and then, and you need guys like you who can push the acting envelope a little bit more.
Believable stunts require good acting.
Right.
Everybody, like you said, you can hit the wall and then drop down, and then you get up and you run, and the director's looking for you to like wince and hold it and take a moment, and the camera needs to see all that. And
sure.
we get what it's been described to me as the stunt zoomies.
Yeah.
You know, like the dog stop, you won't stop going. It's like, and action, and stunt people like,
all in, yeah.
Take a moment, need to see your face.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, we're
We're
trying to
used
get
to
out
hiding our faces.
Right, we're trying to get out of there as quick as possible.
Yeah.
But no. So you can find Bondsman, like we said, on Amazon Prime. It's produced by Blumhouse. Anything else you would like to add as far as like interesting experiences? I know you're in episode 4.
Correct.
Just so everyone knows.
Episode 4. It was great. You know, just I guess all in all is that having the opportunity to work on the Bondsman led to a lot of really good relationships and things like that. And so, you know, as we press forward, because the whole goal, the goal since I was a kid was wanted to do movies, and
Right.
you know, stepping into the world of doing our own movies and producing our own stuff. And now, because of the stunt world, we do have relationships with, you know, different distributors and different directors and different stunt coordinators and different actors. You know, it's one thing where when you want to get a big actor, you're like, man, I got to call the agent, I got to call the other thing. It's another thing when the big actor you doubled for 3-4 weeks, 3 months, and you're like, let me just text him and see if he wants to, do this. And then you go through the agents and everything else like that. So, you know, it's an interesting dynamic, because if you sort of network within the world,
Right.
you know, then new opportunities open up. And I'm just grateful to have been part of the Bondsman, and definitely check it out on Amazon Prime. And I look forward to seeing the Hutch interview.
And once again, I'm your host, Graham Jones. This has been an interview on The Bondsman at Good Slate Pictures with my man, Bobby Cerise. Thank you for joining us. This might be the Good Slate Late Show.
This episode has been brought to you by Go Tylus, the shirts that look great without a tie. Visit GoTylus.com.